Where arts and adventure summits the airwaves. This is the Ogden Arts and Adventure Show. I'm R. Brandon, along with this time Case Johnston.
I am Todd Oberndorfer again for about the fifth or sixth time, maybe.
Yeah, you're getting as a co-host goes. You're getting pretty good at this.
I'm his main fill-in.
Yeah, the main fill-in.
Yeah.
He's out with the flu. Get better, Todd. We miss you when we are the hosts for the greatest arts and adventure podcast in all the land. We have with us a guest that it's like, I just saw you,
Yeah.
So you
2 weeks ago? 3 weeks ago.
Case brought you in with part of the Utah Humanities book. Check your books at the
Check
shelf.
your shelves.
Check your shelves. There we go.
Yes.
Check your shelves podcast. And we were we got to hear some of your poetry, which was awesome. And it just went by so fast. We thought we need to invite y'all back so that we can go a little deeper. And really, Aaron, we just need you to read poetry for the next 40 minutes.
Yeah.
That's
Okay, I can do that.
Well, he put out the podcast today, and he started with your poem as the opener because it was...
Okay.
Yeah.
Not that it was better, it was shorter.
Yeah.
Just so you know.
Yeah, it fit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Also, I couldn't understand either one, so I can't.
Yeah.
That's great.
But yeah,
Beautiful.
should clarify Spanish writing poets based here in Utah and are part of, I guess, the same program, or what? How do you know these folks, Case?
Why don't you? I'll explain it. It's we're community at Utah Humanities, which is my other hat. I've got the Moab Brewing hat on tonight. So this is just me being a writer, friend to everybody. So at Utah Humanities, Artes de Mexico is our it's been a 14 or 12 or 12,
Yeah, 12 years.
12-year partnership that is, like I said on that podcast, go listen to that podcast to hear the serious stuff. But just we're really, really happy and proud to have been a partner with Artes de Mexico for that long. Their Sorwana Awards is October 12th this year at the Leonardo, where they give out these amazing awards to Spanish and English writing. Correct?
No,
Or is it
Spanish and Spanish as a second language.
Spanish as a second. Oh, right. So you can be a native speaker of English and write in Spanish,
Yeah.
or be a native speaking
Oh man,
Spanish.
does it suck to lose somebody like that? Like someone that's native is English and then they learn Spanish and then they write better poetry than you? Like, come on. Is that even fair? Come on.
There are two categories.
Lena, you got to
Yeah.
move that mic closer. Okay, so you don't compete against them.
No,
Okay,
it's
okay,
two
okay.
separate
Thank God,
categories.
because
That would be really,
That would be unfair.
that
Yeah.
would be unfair.
That'd be unfair. Yeah, I mean,
And that's going to be awful if somebody with no native in Spanish is going to win the contest against a native. So
yeah.
Yeah, it'd be weird.
Yeah.
I wouldn't feel right about that.
no.
No.
Me neither.
And I don't think it would happen. I don't think so. I mean, I don't know. You would know better than I would.
there's many factors. If they have more school,
Yeah.
college
sure.
formation,
Yeah.
literature, than someone that just moved here in immigrant, just writing a poem. So that's the difference.
There's a difference. Yeah.
Yes.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. So that's why we had him on for that. For
Yeah.
today, though, we're just gonna we'll talk about it obviously, but more freely, I guess.
Yeah, and where you guys are out of Salt Lake somewhere? Or where do y'all live?
I live in Orem.
Orem.
And I live in Murray.
And Murray. Okay, so and the Artes de Mexico is statewide, correct?
Yes,
Statewide.
indeed, it's
Okay.
statewide. Yeah.
And then do you guys how long is this a year-long process? Like how's it go?
Well, it's 52 weeks, right?
52 weeks.
For what?
For at least the writing the poem. Poem
the
piece.
book? The book we brought, it was 52 weeks.
52 weeks.
And the contest started on the Sor Juana contest started in March and closed on July 1st.
And you're a two-time champ.
I win 2 times, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Back to back?
Yeah. And then I was named as a judge and then to coordinate all the thing.
Yeah.
So when I go and do the coordination of the contest, I says, oh no. If you win once, you can participate in the next one. Because it's not fair, no?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, but you write 16th century sonnets?
I do, yeah.
Yeah.
Come on
I
now.
do.
Who the hell does that?
I mean,
Me?
Yeah.
And I know a bunch of folks around the world and then they do the same thing.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
there's all five of you probably, and you all know each other at this point.
Yeah.
How did you get into that? What did you read at one time when you thought, you know what, I really like this style. I kind of want to emulate it. I want to go a little deeper on this. And I mean,
Yes.
it's a beautiful style.
Yeah, it's a beautiful style, and is it?
Yeah, it is.
I'm with
It's
Lynn.
hard. It's hard, because you have
hard,
to
yeah.
count, because it's determined on the how can I say this?
What?
The syllabation.
Oh, the pentameter, the iambic.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So in the specific part of the verse, have to be that word to make it sound
Yeah.
good.
So you like the challenge?
Yeah, I like it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and I make it suffer too.
Yeah, actually, the program about writing the poetry and stuff, it's called 52 Challenges. So every time we were like, okay, this is too difficult. He's like, guess why the name of the program is.
Yeah.
So no matter how much we suffer, he's like, yeah, you got it.
Okay, so who's your favorite poet?
One
Yeah.
Argentinian poet. His name is Pedro Palacios.
Is he alive, or is this like a...
No,
okay,
no,
okay.
he died probably 50 or 60 years ago,
Okay.
something like that. I don't remember.
Is he a formalist too?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah,
he writes sonnets too.
Mhm.
Okay, so do you have like any classic poets that you sort of lean on, or you're more contemporary?
Well, he lives between the 1800s and 1900s, and back probably Quevedo or Sor Juana.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's my. But they write sonnets too, so that's what I try to emulate
Yeah,
the writing. Yeah.
and I think I also found it fascinating. Oh, I don't know why my camera died. I find it fascinating that your job during the day, is it still construction?
Yeah.
Because construction, and we look at construction guys and we don't think they go home and write sonnets.
Nope.
So,
Yeah.
but you do.
Yeah.
So are you teaching the guys on the work site? Are they tired of hearing your poetry? Like,
No,
how does
they
that
they
go?
they tire. They tire.
They're
They tire.
I think it'd be awesome to share that work with them.
They call me the poet of the scaffold. So
Yeah.
I tell you what, there's something about going to, I worked at this Gear 30 shop down here in town, and they're putting these new condos up, and I would go to work in the morning, and I'd arrive what was early to me, which is 9. Okay, it's not that early, but 9. And not only were the construction workers on site, but they got the music blaring, and I'm like, are these guys throwing a party, or are they building an apartment? Like, I can't tell. Like, they sound like they're having a good time out there.
yeah, very loud music. Yeah.
Better. Well, I thought it sounded like you're at
The
least
quinceañera right there. They have a quinceañera.
Well, I tell you what, they throw quinceañeras here at the Monarch,
Yeah.
and that is a look out.
Those are
world.
fun
Yeah.
parties.
Full on event.
Yeah.
Full on events.
on
That's a
event.
big deal.
Yeah.
That's your next subject. You got to write a poem about quinceañeras.
No. I'm okay with that.
He's like, I'm not that's not my expertise.
No. That's why I don't have kids, so don't have to do a quinceañera.
You just saved yourself like 10 grand or something.
Yeah, something like that.
Oh yeah, really? Oh my gosh, yeah. The dresses alone are 10 grand. Oh my gosh, yeah.
And they set up a choreography. They pay specialists to train them on how to dance. And oh my God, it's so much money.
Do they do this? I know that. Well, I don't know much about Mexican culture, but I know that the different states have certain dress colors. Do they stick sort of to that during the quinceañeras?
I
No?
don't know.
No. Okay.
Well, I lived Mexico about 20 years ago, so I don't know if things changed
Yeah.
after that, probably. But I don't remember.
Okay. Lena, what's your style of writing?
My style of writing, a little bit the constructionist. A little bit the constructionist.
Okay.
I'm more like in the dark side of the
Yeah.
writing.
Yeah. You look
Like the cover, like the cover of your book.
Exactly.
Yeah, I have that at home. It's right by my bedstand. I've read poems, and I can get a lot of it. You know what I mean? Probably not the nuance though, not the nuance within the language, of course.
Yeah.
And the metaphor is harder when you don't know the language.
Yes, and I play a lot with that. And
Yeah,
so
it's
fun.
a cool cover though. You know, it's like that's pretty cool. It's dark. It's dark.
It's yes, it's dark, but I like it because everything is so well put with the sonnets and the classics, and then just with language you just play and put words and divide words and cut them and play with the sense and everything. So I really like that.
So if I know Spanish and English and I read a Spanish poem and you're injecting metaphor and simile, do I transfer it into English for it to does it still make sense in English, or does it only make sense maybe in Spanish?
I think you would have to do, instead of a translation, you would need to create a version of it in English.
Okay.
So you look for the words in English to transmit that particular meaning that you want to.
Yeah. But it's more about, there's probably thematic differences even within each word that you choose. And connotatively too, with connotation, each word's going to be different even in the translation version.
Totally.
So you got to change the you got to change the word to match the connotation of the Spanish word, which would be, it's a challenge. Translation is hard.
It's hard.
Yeah.
There's a reason why, like, even the biggest, like the Pulitzer and stuff, they have translated works, not because the translator is the author, but because the translator has done such an amazing job with moving the overall tone and theme and feeling of a work into English. So that's why they give translation prizes at the highest level, because we think differently in different languages. That's the study after study that shows that you think differently, you dream differently, you look at the world differently based on the language in which your native language versus one that you learn. And it's really, it's cool. I love it. I love that. That's what I was gonna
geek out on that.
On that a little bit. And like we were talking about before, with like we introduced it before the podcast started, is English is weird. English is a really weird language because unlike Spanish, English is modal in the sense that you can take any word in English and it can be any part of speech. So it can be a subject, a verb, a noun, an object. It can be, we change our words. So if somebody's learning our language, we have one word that can be a noun, it can be a verb, it can be an adjective, it can be anything. There's multiple. The F word is the one it's very versatile.
Dude.
Dude. Yeah. I mean, but we can do it with absolutely every word. And so that would be really, really hard to learn when you're like, well, I thought that word was a verb. No, that word is just a word, and it can be any part of speech.
Multi-purpose.
It can be anything. It can be a subject. We've turned it into like, I'm an adult. Okay. Well, I'm adulting. Okay. You know, that's adult-like. Okay. That's adulty, which is an adverb.
Yeah.
We do that, and then to learn it, and we just pull words in. We actually, from English, we actually adopt 2,000 new words a year from other languages, and we just use them, just throw them in.
You see it, and you learn English, and you study the formal. You go 5 years to school, and then you come here, and you're like, adulting? That's not even a word. You just created a verb. What is that?
Thank you.
Yeah. You just created a verb out of nowhere.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. And English is hard because it's modal in structure, which meaning a word can be any mode. It can be adjectival, it can be adverbial, it can be anything. And you just like, well, learn it. No, it's like, it's really, really hard. Yeah.
How?
It's really, really a difficult.
Well, you got to
language.
watch a lot of TV,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of crappy TV probably. I don't know why this camera's not working on me, so I'm just going to turn that off. But
Yeah.
you won't get me this podcast. That's all right.
Yeah.
How did you learn? How did you pick up the language?
I don't pick the language yet.
Still working on it.
I'm still working on it. I learned 2 or 3 new words, and then hey, I don't know, that one is slow.
Yeah. You're like me when I learned like uno cerveza por favor, and then I thought I was like, dude, that's pretty much all I need right now. It's just, that's all I need to learn, and then if I need to learn something else, like the bathroom or something, like one word at a time. But it gets you along for a while. But you don't write in English. All your poetry's in Spanish.
All my poetry's in Spanish. Yeah, I can write in English.
Yeah. Okay. And Lena, do you ever play with both languages there with your poetry?
Yes, I have. And actually here there was a contest called She Said,
Mm-hmm.
also for the Great Salt Lake.
Mm-hmm.
So I made some submissions to that one. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's nice. It's a different tool. English is just a different tool to express things.
I asked this question last time too, and it doesn't apply to you, Aaron, because you don't write in it. But do you ever find the word in English but can't find it in Spanish, or you find it in Spanish but you can't find it in English, and it's like, oh, where's that word?
Totally. Many words. When I came here, and this is not poetry, but is language. So I was looking for the particular doctor that in Spanish is otorrinolaryngólogo, which here is just like ear, nose, and throat doctor. I'm like, why don't you say otorrinolaryngologist? That for in Spanish we have the names for every specialist, and that's how you call them. So here you break down in more basic pieces.
Interesting.
That you can digest them. So it's weird.
Huh.
So when writing is the same thing.
Yeah.
What do you think about rhythm? Differences between the two?
I can read poetry in English, and I like it. But obviously, I like more Spanish, no? But I can understand all the poetry in English too.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you have like I start my just talking about writing. I start my day with poetry. Like I don't write poems. I don't. I'm just.
You just read the poems.
I start with reading poems because it's beautiful. Because it gets me into that headspace to like love the language. And so I don't start my whatever I'm writing, whatever I'm working on, you know. Oh my gosh, just hit 78,000 words on a new novel. And I start the day with poetry because of the rhythm and the beauty and the imagery and the metaphor and that feeling. And so I'll read, and it doesn't take that long. I'll read a poem. And then all of a sudden I'm like, something will click, and I'm like, okay, I got to write now, because it's like the image is so strong and powerful that I'm like, okay, I always have my computer, like my screen open to where I'm going to write, and I'm just have that book of poems there, and something will click. It's usually sometimes it could be one line, a title of a poem, and I'm ready to go. Sometimes it's 3 or 4
Is that
poems.
because they're so precise in their language?
So precise and powerful.
Yeah.
Poetry is like, it just, you have, like, poetry is as much about what you leave out as what you put in it. And that is really, really, really powerful. Something I can't do. I've tried poetry, and I'm just really, really bad at it.
But why? Are you so hard on yourself, or why do you?
No, it's just bad. No, like
Okay.
Aaron would read it and he'd be like, "Yeah, this is objectively a bad poem." You know, it's not like,
Okay.
yeah. I mean, I can't. I don't know what it is. But that's where I start my day, is with poets, because it's beautiful.
Aaron might be able to teach you something.
Absolutely.
In Spanish?
Yeah, yeah. That would be super.
Do you consider your novels bilingual, Case, or no? Because there's just
there's
Spanish
some-
words thrown in there.
There's some code switching.
Yeah.
There's some code switching in my novels, but not enough to say no, not at all.
Because I've learned words reading your
Yeah,
novels.
yeah.
They're swear words. I think.
Yeah, they're usually swear words.
Really?
Yeah, well, because my novels are based on my Cordova Chavez side, the only one that I know. I don't know the Johnston side well at all. And so the only thing, and I was telling you guys the other night that they killed the language 2 generations ago.
Yeah.
And, but my grandparents still swore in it, you know, like that was still
That's
the one thing that they kept was cussing, and they would fight in Spanish so that we didn't know.
You have to fight in Spanish.
So we didn't know. So we didn't know what they were saying. Yeah,
It's better.
it's better.
Cussing in
It's
Spanish is
stronger.
much better.
Passionate.
It's prettier. And so so I keep that in the books.
So I don't know if you knew this, Case, but I was thinking about this today because it's a nice summer day. I got the windows open at my house, and me growing up, our next door neighbors were the Butts, Butts.
Yeah.
Butts is
That's
from Spain.
unfortunate, but
Yeah,
okay.
and what's funny is
Yeah.
that they had 2 daughters who were models, very pretty, and one was Mimi Butts.
Yeah.
Spanish girls here in Ogden, and now they're older than I am, but that's my neighbors growing up. I heard this Spanish speaking language my whole life, and I never knew what they were saying, but they were loud. That's what I knew. and they would come through my window, and it's still. And then they sold that house a couple of years ago, and the new neighbors that moved in are Spanish speaking neighbors, and I'm like, it's like they're back. You know, it's like I got the same
Yeah.
thing back, and I hear the language, and I hear the what I hear, because I don't know what they're saying, but I feel like I hear the emotion. I don't know if that's the culture. You guys like in the culture speak a certain way, or you use the language a certain way, but it's very emotional. And does that make you a better writer?
maybe you allow yourself to feel more things. You know, I mean, you're restricted by culture and all these roles, but still you feel more things with friends, with family.
Yeah.
So probably
It feels like they didn't care who heard them. In other words, and in my house, it's very, you're like, that'll come out like, lower your voice. The neighbors can hear you. Like those conversations happen where I feel like that they don't care.
Well, I think it's more on, I think it's less on the like looking at it from the Hispanic point of view and more on looking at it from the U.S. puritanical point of view, where we restrict ourselves culturally, not the opposite.
Does that affect our writing? Do you think?
I think, most definitely. Like, or puritanical writing, like Western Europe, like England and stuff like that. Where they brought this puritanical culture here, and it's very restrictive. It is be quiet. It is do not offend. It is keep things, very, it's like don't be embarrassed. Don't embarrass your family. And I think that's more on the puritanical Western Europe thing than it is looking at the Hispanic side of things there, or the rest of the world is like not. I would say that the Western Europe culture is more of the minority than the
you
opposite.
think about Italians.
Interesting.
You're right, but exactly. Italians and Spaniards and South America and Central America and Greeks, Oh my gosh. I would say that this Western Europe is that we're used to Western Europe culture, and it's more the Western Europe culture than it is the rest of the world, if that makes sense. And I think Utah is almost times 3.
Yes.
Because
my God, no, we have issues here in the state.
I think the dominant culture
curious.
is like you have to look perfect, and so if you raise your voice, if you show emotion, that perfection looks like it goes away. And I think that Western Europe and Utah is more of the minority. The rest of the world is loud.
Yeah, I'm wondering if those restrictions, it might force you to go to a deeper place, and maybe you become a fantastic writer. But I'm really fascinated by the openness of the families and the culture, and because I remember, Mrs. Butts would just walk into our house.
Yeah.
She didn't care, and that's just how it was. I'm like, they were open about everything, and so I'm like, that openness, does that foster a different type of relation on the paper when you go to write, versus someone who lives more.
Well, I think it's a great question. If you look at like, Western European authors, early American authors, Russian authors, man, you're getting into some dark, deep inside stuff.
Like they're dealing with some shit.
Yeah, and it's because
they don't have anyone to talk to.
Yeah, it's like
that's why it's in paper.
They're not getting it out.
There's a lot of repression there. A lot of repression where the rest of the world is like beauty. And this is totally just my opinion. I'm not a cultural anthropologist, but the rest of the world is like beauty.
It's very generalized.
But
that's interesting to.
And English, the interesting part about English language itself, even though it's very weird, it is very non-romantic too. In the sense that, like, if you look at the romantic languages like Spanish and Portuguese and Italian and Greek's not French. There really is romance in the language. They're beautiful, and I think English in itself, just the words themselves are restrictive. It's choppy. It's
a pragmatic language.
It's very it is, and so.
So I need to learn Spanish. So
just saying.
Yeah, just saying.
But it's a really good question. That's a great question. But I personally think that the rest of the world is having fun, and we're
probably.
Yeah.
Well, I enjoyed. I always enjoyed it as a kid listening, because it did. You hear the arguments were just, they sounded like they were just getting stuff out, but I heard the laughter, because they laughed loud and they argued loud, and I got to hear all of it, and I kind of enjoyed that. It's endearing to me because I grew up with it,
right?
And I was thinking about that today. I'm like, I didn't realize that. I think I was kind of lucky, because a lot of times you don't have neighbors who are different you know, they're all, a lot of times you live in a neighborhood that
Yeah.
they're all the same.
And
Whether
Utah's
it's all
really
Spanish or all not
yeah,
Spanish or
yeah,
whatever, you know,
yeah.
like, but if
Yeah.
you're right next to somebody and they're from a different place, a different
Mm-hmm.
culture, then you automatically get to learn about somebody else's life and where they're from. And I just think that's the coolest thing.
it is the coolest thing.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's it was Twain that said the enemy of prejudice is travel.
Yeah.
It's because the second you go anywhere.
Your universe is just
yeah,
grows.
yeah. The enemy
Yeah,
of prejudice is
And
travel.
it's also the sense of community, right? So
Mhm.
I kept wondering when I moved here and I saw more need for, like, everyone's going to therapy like all the time, and I'm like, why don't we go
I got a
so
problem
much?
with therapy, but that's another question.
Okay, that's another one. So therapy needed. But then I started thinking, what was the difference between being in Colombia, like still with challenges and stuff, and one of the main differences is to have friendships. Because when you verbalize things with your friends or family or whatever, you start processing things, right? They get grounded. But here is the friendship is a different concept from what I knew.
Also, thank you, social media. Are the kids going to be worse about making friends now? I mean, is that going to get worse? Do you guys teach or work with young kids, students ever, to kind of get a vibe on how the right? Well, Case used to teach, but I didn't know if like we're still new into social media, but is it old enough yet that we're seeing it impact friendship building and you know, really getting deep into the psyche of the kids, essentially. Did you see that?
There's enough.
Yeah.
We've got enough data. Yeah, that's what my wife does. She actually collects data for young people on drugs, alcohol, social media, suicide ideation, sexual preference, all those things. And we've got plenty of data at 20. We're about 20 years in.
Wow.
20 something years
so,
in.
yeah.
And so
And if
she's
they started
actually
using it when they were, say, 12.
Yeah. Yeah. She's actually says there's quite a swing right now, which is really interesting, not only with the social media and stuff, but there's a swing in alcohol and drug use. Is like we joke about
Kids
this.
aren't as into it.
They're not into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not. They're not
Wow.
nearly as into drug and alcohol use. They're pushing away from social media. I think we're on that swing now where we've seen that where they recognize
So passe.
well, it's passe, and they recognize nothing goes away, and they've seen the mistakes of their parents or their friends, and young people are getting smart. You know, they're always smart. They're just getting smart about all the stuff. They don't drink as much. They don't smoke as much. They don't. I mean, nobody smokes, not cigarettes, right? But young people are, you know. Have you ever watched? We watched it last night with my son. Have you ever watched this movie, Totally Killer?
No.
Oh
that
my!
sounds totally bad.
It's so bad.
Just the name.
It's
Totally Killer,
we'll
bro.
come back to writing in a bit, but it's good writing. Okay, can I preface that? It's good writing. It's about this young girl from now, and she goes back to 1985 where her mom is because there's this serial killer, and she goes back and she's like, everything that people say in 1985 offends her. She's like,
Oh,
you can't.
shit, yeah.
She's like, you can't say that. You can't do that. You can't do that. Why would you say that? That's really, it's really funny because it's making fun of both sides. It's making fun of us growing up, me growing up in the 80s, Brandon too. We're old, and how we would just the way we grew up. But it's also making fun of the times now.
Yeah.
And it's like, because we were awful, we would just be mean for no reason. And then, it was like, and we, it was really, really mean. And then now it's like swung this way, but it was really good writing because they threw her back into this idea. And the first scene is her playing like full on dodgeball. And that's like, people are like slamming and blood's flying out their nose. And she's like, we can't play this. This is illegal.
Okay, I need to watch that.
It's actually really well done. It's really funny. It's really funny. We laughed.
What's it called? Killer?
Totally Killer.
Totally Killer.
It's a tie. It's like, and they make fun of Back to the Future, and it's really, really funny.
Okay.
Anyways,
I never heard of it. Okay, interesting.
Yeah, it was.
Lena, what's your topic of conversation when you're writing? Typically, what's your themes that you sort of stick to?
Very introspective writing.
Mm-hmm.
Death sometimes.
Is there a reason for that?
The beauty that you can find also in death,
Right.
or when you're close to death, for instance. I try to see beauty in everything,
Mm-hmm.
even in the most like we were one of the topics we wrote about was like I think the seventh circle of the Inferno,
Yeah.
right? And you're like, oh hell no! But even there's beauty. There's humans, like the concept, Dante's concept about all that. So there's beauty in everything.
Yeah. Beauty in podcasting, I tell you.
There you go.
Definitely. Definitely.
Definitely. Aaron, what's your themes? What do you write about?
Depends on my mood, I guess.
Is it ever really like basic stuff, like I had a hard day at work kind of a deal, or is it mostly really on a deeper?
I try to
level.
go deeper.
Yeah.
When I have a hard time on the job, I don't write. But probably if I watch a news or a photo, like the poem I read the other day, I probably do something I write something.
Yeah.
When I think it's something.
What photo was it?
The kid with the buzzard,
Oh yeah.
and
Yeah.
the African kid with the
Mhm.
buzzard, and he is almost dying, and the buzzard just waiting to him to die. And my poem talk about that.
Mm.
So I trying to show things to the world. Hey, this is happening.
Mm-hmm.
Please pay attention.
Yeah.
Probably one or two people pay attention, but it's enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all that you need.
That's not very light.
yeah. No.
That's pretty deep. So most of it's pretty deep, essentially.
I'm trying, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's what you try with poetry. Otherwise, you wouldn't just write about the beautiful clouds in the sky. No, like poems come from somewhere, from pain, from extreme feelings.
Mhm.
Well, Kay says he writes bad poems.
Yeah.
What's a bad poem? Like how come he sucks? Like
let me
what-
just grab something from my computer.
Oh, we can give an example right here, right now.
I am not kidding with you.
but are you talking about like
well, I think Lena talked about it really briefly. It's like if you're not willing to go there,
yeah.
then it's not going to be good. And personally, I just don't go. I can go there in my nonfiction because I can take 1,000 words and just grapple with my feelings or my emotions on the page. Like I can on the page just say, I don't know what I feel straight out. Just write it just like that. Sometimes I feel this. Sometimes when I'm in this, I feel this. And so I'm literally just unraveling feelings on the page. It's not poetic. It's straight out just kind of digesting. Poets are able to take all that digestion and turn it into metaphor and I can't. I just can't do it. So if I've ever tried it on poetry, it's like I think I could probably write like free verse prose poems.
Yeah.
I think I could write prose poems. Decently. I do because I think my nonfiction is very lyrical. So I think my prose poems could be decent. But yeah, I think Lena's correct that you have to be able to go places with it and really and you have to lead people. You have to leave places for people to put in their own stuff. With nonfiction and fiction, you're explaining everything to everybody.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
And that I was thinking about this too. So as poets, this is so great. We got two Spanish poets in the trailer. When you're writing, do you think about the reader, or is this just you creating a story, or like how do you approach it?
It depends the kind of poet you are and why the purpose of your writing.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to sell, that's a different approach because you're
Is
thinking
that
about
different from if you want to get an emotion from somebody?
Yeah. Yes, because I mean, what topics you start doing all this marketing thing, the target audience, what topics are they interested in? That's a different story.
I hear dragons are hot right now.
Okay, no, but I'm like, oh, okay, they can kill. Maybe I can use one. Maybe I can use one of them.
Yeah.
But if you're just writing, normally when I write, I don't think about the audience or people.
Interesting.
Yeah, me
Yeah.
too. I never think on the reader.
No, never.
No. When I wrote deeper poems, I never.
How do you? Because you know someone's going to read it.
Yeah.
So
I
you don't
don't
think
care.
about what they.
No, I don't. I
Yeah.
don't
Answer,
care.
I don't care.
I don't care if my words offend them, or
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
care if what they think.
And you don't care about being commercial or anything.
No,
right? So-
no, I don't care.
And maybe
Because-
that's what I don't have.
Is that the secret there, Case?
Maybe.
Because you're in a different world, right? Because you're selling books, and maybe you care about how the reader reads your work.
Yes and no.
Mm.
Because I think that I still couldn't write a good poem to save my life. I mean, I mean that's that's the that's.
I don't know if I could push it away because I know someone's going to read it eventually.
Yeah. That's.
I don't know if I could not give an F like Aaron over here.
Yeah, well, I remember
That's
one.
a superpower, I'm telling you.
No, I remember one time I wrote a poem about a prostitute, and a lady read it and then say, "Oh, that's my history." Well,
Cut it.
what? Yeah, you read it? You really read it? And she said, "Yeah, I really read it." Well, it belongs to a prostitute. And no, then it's not my history. Sometimes they don't even understand the poetry, no?
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah.
But there's also beauty because I remember I was reading a poem. We were in an open mic, I think, open mic thing, and we were sharing stuff. And I read one that I wrote about God and how God died and when did God die. Like when someone decided just like, you know what, I don't care about wearing a bra. I'm not going to wear a bra. And that was part of the poem and stuff. And someone said at the end, awesome, I felt it. I just want to get rid of bra. So you'll be surprised at whatever topic you think. There's
Interesting.
someone. There's someone like, I feel that. Thank you for saying that.
Yeah. Do you need that feedback to be a better writer as a poet?
Well,
I don't think you do, Aaron, but I don't know.
well, yeah, I do. I mean, when Lena read me or the other poets read me and they tell, "Oh no, this is not good," I can have a feedback like that.
Mm-hmm.
When I know somebody knows more than me,
Yeah.
and I know Lena knows more than me.
Or somebody who knows how good you can be.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And they're like, this is not as good as you can be.
yeah.
But just a
I've seen
general
that.
reader as
Yeah.
feedback, it doesn't really affect just the people you respect, I guess.
Yeah,
Yeah, but I mean, at least for me, it's like, oh, that someone, it made sense to someone, and someone actually now thinks that they are not just alone in the world with their own thoughts.
Yeah.
That is really fulfilling.
oh yeah.
So you said when Jesus died, and I just saw this article in the paper about they went up the giant sequoia tree in California to see if it was healthy and it wasn't going to get the pine bark beetle attack thing going or whatever. And that tree is 2,200 and so that tree's been there since Jesus died. I'm like, that is the craziest. That tree in California was like 200 years old. At the same time, they're telling the Romans are over there putting people on crosses. I'm like, that is an old tree.
Yeah.
Is that crazy or what?
Well, they just found too that there's very recently they found that we were about 15,000 years off from people inhabiting North America and South America.
15,000?
50,000 years off. They just found that very recently that they found, some archaeologists found out that there were people here 15,000 years before we even thought.
Well,
so
that's
we're
why-
looking at like 28,000 to 30,000.
I get a kick out of everybody, especially they're on social media, and they're like, they've solved all the world's problems. I'm like, dude, bro, we've been here for 20,000 years.
I know.
Come on, what are we doing?
a lot longer than that, and a lot longer than that. And I've been following the flat earthers on Facebook. This is
Why? For the fun of it?
just for the fun of it. I also do.
They think a little crazy stuff.
They're crazy stuff. I also sometimes when I'm bored, I will turn on conservative talk radio and listen to that too while I'm driving around.
Flat
I
earthers?
did once and it just started
Yeah, I do it.
itching. I'm like, no.
Well, I talk back to it. It's like almost like I feel good about arguing with somebody that's not my wife, so I can actually win. But I talk back to these conservative talk radio hosts. I'm like, that's not true. I'm really nice to them though.
You should write a book about that.
Oh yeah, it's just like I'm like that is
should
not
write
true. That person like, well, that's not true. Sometimes they'll be like, oh, that's kind of true. That's close, and then I'm like, but that's not true with this, not in context. And I get all
Context
mad,
is everything,
I get all mad.
Yeah,
'Cause I
get
can't-
off my lawn.
I can't listen to sports talk radio anymore because the Jazz suck. So since the Jazz are I hate them right now, and they're my favorite team. I can't listen because
This got dark real quick.
I know.
So, well, your poetry's one thing. Him in his jazz,
Jazz.
another.
I
Yeah.
know, jazz. Well, you know how it goes with your favorite sports team if they're doing stupid things.
Yeah.
I feel it.
Yeah.
I feel it. With
I
the,
heard. Thanks, man.
with the Mexican team, I feel it.
hmm
Who's your Mexican team?
No, the
National team.
national team.
Oh, the Mexican national
And they-
team.
We lost even with the
Oh.
United States. That's awful.
Oh yeah, that is honestly.
Oh
that
yeah,
is,
that's kind of
Hey,
pathetic.
hey, but Mexico beat United States in baseball.
Oh wow.
What?
Yeah, there you
For
go.
real?
What?
Yeah, so
So karma. Yeah, karma. Yeah. One time I spent 6 months in Morelia.
Yeah.
And when I was like 22, and it was the best 6 months of my life. And we lived with a family, and one time I really got into football. Was they had their own team, and the Pumas came, and that was quite a weekend. It was like we would jump on the back of trucks, and everybody would just ride into the stadium. And my friend from Utah comes into the Morelian Stadium with a Puma outfit on. And I'm like, you're going to die. You may die today. You know, this was the stupidest thing.
Don't.
And so we were all like, we moved away from him. Like, we were like, but what?
it's not with me.
He's not with us. He was so stupid. And so
Is he alive today?
he's actually a full bird colonel in the Air Force.
Ah,
Yeah, mate.
how about that?
Yeah.
Turns out.
Turns out, it turns yeah. But that was probably some of the most fun I've ever had in my life is when when that stadium was packed and the whole city.
So what did you feel like when you were
Oh,
there?
so powerful.
All in yellow, no? Yellow and
all
red.
in yellow and red. Yeah, yellow and red. Except for my friend in blue
Yeah. With the Puma on the
with the Puma on the front. I was like, what is wrong?
Do they
with you?
fight each other? Because, you get the wrong Philadelphia Eagles fan.
I know.
At a Dallas Cowboys stadium, and there might be
yeah.
some brawling, So
Oh.
do they in soccer and
Oh, yeah.
that's similar?
Yeah.
In Colombia, it can
Yeah.
get
Really.
really bad.
Yeah,
It's a little sketchy.
you wouldn't do
Yeah.
something like that, right?
No,
Yeah,
no,
it would-
mm-mm.
You probably need to watch the Clásico in every country, no?
yeah.
I mean, I don't know in Colombia, but in Mexico it's America Chivas. In Argentina it's Boca against River.
Yeah.
Probably the Argentina is the worst.
Mm,
Yeah,
But-
that's really.
Yeah.
And when Colombia plays Argentina, ooh.
yeah.
Argentina happens to be really good.
Yeah, it is. It is what it is. We can argue with that.
Yeah.
So true.
Well, it's like Red Sox fans, and you don't walk into Yankee stadiums with a Red Sox hat.
Yeah.
You just don't. It's just not smart.
No.
It was some of the best times I've ever had in my
Yeah,
life.
but there's a lot of people that wear Bulls jerseys to Jazz games.
Well, that's different. Jazz Houtons are like, oh, that's nice. you know.
See, the passion is not there.
Yeah.
That's
Well, they're
what-
passionate in
But
a
you
different
need
way.
to.
I'm angry.
I really want you guys to turn Case into a great poetry writer.
No.
I think it's
Yeah.
possible.
Maybe
In
if
I
it's
think he's holding
in
back
Spanish.
his emotions.
In
Spanish.
Spanish.
Yeah.
In Spanish for them.
And I can teach you how to write a sonnet.
Oh. Yeah. I don't know.
I like to teach the sonnets because you can expand your language
Yeah.
because you need
That
to
makes
find the,
sense.
Oh,
the
you're-
right word.
Forced to.
I'm thinking, my grandpa spent a lot of time on the crossword puzzles to try to keep his mind sharp. I think you're just going to be writing sonnets forever
Yeah.
just to keep your mind sharp.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Because it is a puzzle, right? Like trying to
is,
find the
it
right
is.
words at the right time and
Yeah.
make sense and
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Carry that metaphor all the way through.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you're doing that, like, 10 new words for the day, 10 new words for today.
There's only so many words, right? So you got to find the right ones to mean the right things in the right order. That's why it's brilliant, really. When it happens, it all falls into place like a good country song.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. Really. I guess so. I don't know. I was gonna say something smart, but that cut me right off. I think I need a little whiskey, Brandon.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So, but some of the
I'm
most
glad I threw you off.
the craziest thing about writing and language, though, is the most beautiful things written are written in the most simple language. You know, it's like the language that we use every day. You get people writing in really big words, and you're like, I don't even know what that word is, or they're trying to act smart. That's what you know. You get people who are like, I don't know how many people like in class where I would write with them, and they would write this huge word, and I'm like, what is that? Like, are you just trying to act smart? Some of the most beautiful poems,
Yes.
writing, and everything is the most simple
Yeah.
simple language, but carried through in the most beautiful way, in the most beautiful construction.
Well, the best professor I had up at Weber State was he would essentially, I mean, I think he just did it on purpose, but any paper you would hand in, he'd say, cut it by 50%.
Mm-hmm.
You can probably cut 50% off this.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God, I thought I'd already done that, you know, but it was that simplicity and bringing it down to,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
only the words you need every time.
Only word you need.
He was a curmudgeon. Oh my.
Who is this one?
Oh, the professor up at Weber. I don't remember. He was a cool dude, also a curmudgeon. So he lived in a cabin in Alaska part-time. And he would float the river down, the Yukon, I think, on his way out, come teach classes, fly back to a lot. Just kidding. But he would spend his summers up there, and then he would teach at Weber State. And I think he was just an adjunct. But I learned more from him than anyone else. He had a lot of his stuff was published in like Field and Stream and stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Hunter Fisher, but the most beautiful short stories about like geese. Like you wouldn't think about it'd be so beautiful, you know, the way that he would position them in their lives, and you're like, oh my God, it's a beautiful story about geese, for crying out loud. It's like the weirdest, you know, thing that you wouldn't think. Anyway, that's interesting to me. Where can we learn more about Artes de Mexico and read your stuff, your work?
Good question. Well, you can follow Artes de Mexico social media, and our poetry. Oof, I've been along without publish nothing in Facebook or Instagram. I don't know, Lina.
Okay, well, Artes de Mexico, but then we have also our books on Amazon.
Yeah.
Names?
Interruptores Rotos by Lina Vega Morrison.
Mi Otro Yo by Manuel Aarón Garcia. It's in Amazon.
And if you're interested in listening to our poetry, sharing poetry, writing with us, we have consistent workshops at the Salt Lake Community Writing Center by the main city library.
Mm-hmm.
So it's workshops. So you're actually learning something, but creating something. And that is the beauty of it.
Actually, Lina gonna have a workshop on Youth Arts Festival.
Oh yeah, part of the Youth
nice.
Arts Festival. The Friday where it begins, 8 p.m. will be poetry and music and his stories of resistance through poetry and the reflection and the correlation with music.
Cool.
So we'll be exploring some songs from different latitudes.
And after Lina workshop, gonna have an open mic in Spanish on the Youth Arts Festival.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I like how non-promotional they are.
Well, you asked. Just saying.
And then that'd be awesome. And the Utah Arts Festival this year is what weekend?
Late June.
Is it late June?
June 28, June 29, and June 30. Yeah.
Shoot, I won't be here.
Traveling.
I know, traveling. Yeah, that's the first time I met Fanny was at the Utah Arts Festival because I organized 2020 and 2021 the literature stage, and so that's the first time I met Artes de Mexico. Was that week? Those years, and had them up on stage. They're so good. So
yeah,
good.
we were there when we were there.
The first time we participated in Youth Arts Festival was 2021.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
That's where.
Yeah.
That's when.
So
So I was like, yeah, that'd be awesome. Come on. And then you guys were in the round area first, and then amphitheater there, and then came up to the main stage, which was awesome, which was really, really.
I like the round.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you're more in touch with the audience and the feelings and
the main
everything.
stage. Yeah, it's interesting. It's how it is.
Yeah.
Being writers and presenting your work is always always a crapshoot. You just don't know.
Yes, it's easier to read someone else's work, but when you're sharing your own stuff,
Yeah.
I was shaking that day in 2020.
Yeah. I organized it for 2020.
Aaron, you strike me as someone who doesn't really get that nervous, so that surprises me. You were a little nervous that day, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'm nervous all the time.
You could put maracas on his knees and he will be making music.
You can hear it.
Case, how's your book doing?
Good, I think.
You know, like
We already got an award. That's all that matters. The pressure is off. It came out May 14th. May 15th, I woke up and it was a finalist for the National Independent Booksellers Award. So
we're gonna have to change your intro to on Check Your Shelves, because you say the book's coming out in June.
Oh yeah, it's
already
out. It's out. It's
so
out.
we
Yeah,
might
we'll-
have to
we'll
adjust
adjust
that.
one.
Maybe next month.
Maybe it'll just throw people. They'll be really intrigued. It'll be like the time travel with Totally Killer. They'll be like, you guys really have to watch the show.
Okay.
It's surprisingly good. And yeah. So, anyways,
I love it. Lena, Aaron, thanks so much for spending some time with us. Anything else you guys want to get off your chest?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So arts overall help you release a lot of things. And resistance, I mean, the world is changing a lot, maybe faster than before. Rights, whatever is happening in the world. Poetry and writing is a good way to express that, and maybe to invite people to resistance in whatever level they can.
I like that a lot, because I think people turn to the devices now, the socials, and try and deal with things that way, and that is not really a good way to do it. So if they can learn how to work through their emotions and put it down on paper and build beautiful poetry out of it, that'd be amazing.
yeah. I admire poets. That's I just admire that.
Case has always said that, and he's always said he's crappy, but I bet he's got a few.
Yeah, I'm
few
curious
good
now.
ones
I
in
want
there.
to see one of your pieces.
That's what it
Me
is.
too.
A piece.
I didn't say piece off. I just said
Yeah, that's how I heard it. and it's the truth. So don't worry about it.
No.
Thank you guys. I was so glad you guys came.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I want to say thanks to Banyan One. That is this trailer here for powering today's episode of the Ogden Arts and Adventure Show. You can listen and subscribe to Ogden Arts and Adventure on YouTube. Look for us on Facebook, Instagram, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and our website, thebanyancollective.com. And finally, the Podbean app for Android and iPhones, which you can also catch the Check Your
Shelves. Yep.
As
Which
well.
just came out today.
Just came out today with, Lena, Aaron, and
Fanny
from Artista Mexico.
who's not here, and she's
Traveling, enjoying Mexico.
yeah, she's having a vacation.
Want to be on the show? You can send me a direct message. I think the kids call that a DM on Instagram at Ogden Adventure. If you find value in this podcast, consider supporting us at buymeacoffee.com/Banyan Media. This week's Outdoor Jukebox will leave you with a little Dave Quackenbush, and it's going to sound like he's got a full band. He doesn't. It's just him, and he's looping and doing all the things. And this is called Guy on Polk. And for those of you who don't know, there's Polk music, or there's Polk Avenue here in Ogden, which is where we live. So Guy on Polk, Dave Quackenbush, as recorded on Van Sessions at the Monarch. We'll see you on the next Ogden Arts and Adventure Show.
There's a guy on Polk, always has a smoke for you, but the kind that you pack inside the devil bar, he's always high. You find him up in the sky, just like a bunch of homies that you know. Just get him by. You could come to the right chance. Now he's all wrapped up in the beauty of the moment. He's on fire with love and he's not before so long. Still getting tired, but now more online. Just like a bunch of old men getting old, just getting by. You cut so damn tight. But it's just one life if you believe it. I'll believe it. 'Cause now it's already up in the beauty of the moment. It's a power love and it's not the great show. You got that smile on his face, happy and it knows it. Got the truth in his pocket and another one fall out loud. Well, I already up in the beauty of the moment. Oh, power love and it's not afraid to show it. You got a smile on his face, happy and it knows it, yeah. Oh, I got a fool in his pocket and another one follow. You're full of love.
Dave,
Thanks,
Quackenbush.
everybody. Thanks so much. Thanks for sticking around. Thanks for coming out.
Thanks, Dave. Appreciate it, man.
Yeah, yeah.